The Khitan people, also known as the Kitan, were a nomadic people originally from Mongolia, Manchuria, and the Russian Far East from the 4th century that spoke a language distantly related to the Mongolic languages. As the Liao dynasty, they dominated a vast area north of it, including parts of China, but left few relics that have survived until today. After the fall of the Liao dynasty in 1125 following the Jurchen invasion, many Khitans followed Yelu Dashi's group westward to establish the Qara Khitai Western Liao dynasty in Central Asia, which lasted several decades before being consumed by the Mongol Empire in 1218. Name. There is no consensus on the etymology of the name of Khitan. There are basically three speculations. Feng Jiasheng argues that it comes from the Yuan chieftains' names. Zhao Zhenji thinks that the term originated from Zhabei and means a place where Zhabei had resided. Japanese people scholar Otage Matsuo considers Khitan's original name is Zidan, which means the people who are similar to the Shi people or the people who inhabit among the Shi people. Various forms of the word Khitan survive in the many languages as the name of China. Examples: Bulgarian and Russian word for China, as well as in the Slovene language and in archaic English and French, Italian, Portuguese, Spanish, Georgian and Mongolian appellations of the country. The use of the name Khitai to mean China or Chinese in such Turkic languages as Uyghur is considered pejorative by the Han Chinese, and Chinese authorities have tried to ban it. History. They have different stories about their origin. According to Khitan records, their early ancestor was Qi Shao Kaghan, a descendant of Tan Shuai Khan of the Zhabei state. Qi Shao Kaghan was a divine man riding a white horse who floated down the Liao River and met Kitan, a heavenly maiden riding a cart drawn by a grey ox who had floated down the Xar Moron River. At the intersection of the two rivers, at the foot of the holy Muye mountain, they met and mated, giving birth to 8 sons, the ancestors of the ancient 8 tribes of the Kitan. A temple with portraits of Khitan ancestors was built on Mount Muye, the holiest mountain. This story is somewhat similar to that of the origin of Genghis Khan, which speaks of heaven-born Blue Wolf and Ferdo crossing the sea and mating at the source of the Onan River, at the foot of Mount Burkhan Khaldun, which became the holiest mountain of the Borjigan Mongols. The Kidan Gwoji records a Khitan legend in its preface. There was a chief called Naya. This chief was nothing but a skull hidden under a rug in a round felled tent, so that he was invisible. Only when something serious had happened in his state, a white horse and a grey ox were sacrificed to him. Then he took on a human figure, and came out to deal with the affairs. After the affairs had been settled, he returned to the tent and became a skull again. He disappeared, for his countrymen peeped at him. Then there was another chief called Wai who was also living in a round felled tent. He wore a boar's head and was clad in pig skin. When there was an action he came out, then he retired and hid himself again. Later it happened that his wife stole his pig skin. He abandoned her and nobody knew where he went. Then there was another one called Joli Hunhe. He had raised 20 sheep. Each day he ate 19 and had only 1 left, but in the following day there were 20 again. These 3 chiefs were well known for their abilities in running the state. From Zhabei origins, they were part of the Kumo-Shi tribe until 388, when the Kumo-Shi Khitan tribal grouping was roundly defeated by the newly established Northern Wei, allowing the Khitan to resume their own tribal entity, and beginning the Khitan written history. In 630, Tang Taizong received the capitulation in southern Manchuria and eastern Mongolia from the Mongolic Khitans. For the 5th to the 8th centuries, they were dominated by the steppe power to the west and the Chinese to the south. Under this triple domination and oppression, the Khitan started to show growing power and independence. This rise was, compared to other cases, slow. Slow because it was frequently crushed by its neighboring powers, each using the Khitan warriors when needed, but each ready to crush them when the Khitan rose too much and became powerful, close to becoming an independent fourth regional power. The 696–697 Li Shun rebellion is really instructive on this 2 adults and 1 teenager game. The Khitan were encouraged by the Turks to take all the risks and revolt against the Tang, which they successfully accomplished, before being attacked at the rear by the Turks, to the great advantage of the newly reborn Second Turkish Empire. Enjoying the departure of Uyghur people for West, and the collapse of the Tang dynasty in the early 10th century, they established the Liao dynasty in 907. The Liao dynasty proved to be a significant power north of the Chinese plain, continuously moving south and west, gaining control over former Chinese and Turk-Uyghurs territories. In 1005, Chanyuan Treaty was signed, and peace remained between the Liao dynasty and the Song dynasty for the next 120 years. During the reign of the Emperor Daozong of Liao, corruption was a major problem and prompted dissatisfaction of many people, including the Jurchens. The Liao dynasty eventually fell to the Jin dynasty of the Jurchen in 1125, who defeated and absorbed the Khitans to the military benefit. The Khitans considered the Kamag Mongols as the last hope when the Liao dynasty was invaded by the Jin, Song dynasty and Western Liao empires. To defend against the Jurchens and Khitans, a long wall was built by Goryeo in 1033 to 1034 along with many border forts. Following the fall of the Liao dynasty, a number of the Khitan nobility escaped the area westwards towards western regions, establishing the short-lived Qara Khitai Western Liao dynasty, and after its fall, a small part under Buraq Hajib established a local dynasty in the southern Persian province of Kerman. These Khitans were absorbed by the local Turkic and Iranian populations, Islamized and left no influence of themselves. As the Khitan language is still almost completely illegible, it is difficult to create a detailed history of the movements. Recent genetic studies and family genealogy researches have substantiated the hypothesis that the Dor ethnic group of Inner Mongolia are possible descendants of the ancient Khitans, and the Yunnan Han Chinese clans Wei, Mang, Jiang, plus dozens of other clans who self-identified as Yelu descents and were called Ben people by other Yunnan ethnic groups claim to be descendants of the Khitai. Furthermore, the Lu clan in a few dozen villages with the name Yelu Juang also claimed descent from the Yelu clan of the Khitans. During the Liao period, ethnic Khitans were divided into 2 clans, Yelu and Seo. Yelu was later Sinicized. The Dor language is classified as Mongolic. Dors and Simbaran people of Baran Right Banner are direct descendants of the Khitans. Another ethnic group, the Kyrgyz, are also believed to be partially descended from the Khitans. The hairstyles of Simbaran women are similar to Khitans. All people of Khitai and Khitai tribes in Central Asia of the Khitans descendants. Fleeing from the Mongols, in 1216 the Khitans invaded Goryeo and defeated the Korean armies multiple times, even reaching the gates of the capital and raiding deep into the south, but were defeated by Korean General Kim Chwi Rye, who pushed them back north to Pyongyang, where the remaining Khitans were finished off by allied Mongol Goryeo forces in 1219. These Khitans are possibly the origin of the Bakjeng language and writing systems. The Khitan language is a now extinct language once spoken by the Khitan people. Khitan is believed to be genetically related to Proto-Mongolic. There were two writing systems for the Khitan language, known as the large script and the small script. These were functionally independent and appear to have been used simultaneously in the Liao dynasty. They were in use for some time after the fall of the dynasty. Examples of the scripts appeared most often on epitaphs and monuments, although other fragments sometimes surface. Many scholars recognize that the Khitan scripts have not been fully deciphered, and that more research and discoveries would be necessary for a proficient understanding of them. Although there are several clues to its origins, which might point in different directions, the Khitan language is most likely a descendant of pre-Proto-Mongolic. The memorial for Yelu Yanning is one of the earliest inscriptions in Khitan large script. The Khitan, however, had two scripts of their own, and many Mongolic words are found in the half-deciphered writings that are usually found with a parallel Chinese text. There is no doubt regarding the Khitan being Proto-Mongolic. The Khitans considered the Khamag Mongol as the last hope when the Liao dynasty was invaded by the Tungusic Jin Empire, Chinese Song dynasty and Tanghut's Western Liao empires. Economy. As nomadic people, the Khitans originally engaged in stock breeding, fishing, and hunting, looting southern Chinese villages and towns, as well as neighbor tribes, was also a helpful source of slaves, Chinese handcraft, and food, especially in famine times. Under the influence of the neighboring China, and following the administrative need for a sedentary administration, the Khitans began to engage in farming, crop cultivation and the building of cities. Different from the Chinese and Bali farmers, who cultivated wheat and sorghum millet, the Khitan farmers especially cultivated panicled millet. The ruling class of the Liao dynasty still undertook hunting campaigns in late summer in the tradition of their ancestors. After the fall of the Liao dynasty, the Khitans returned to a more nomadic life. Religion. The Khitans' original religion was a veneration of numerous natural phenomena that were thought to be divine, above all the sun. Thus, the Liao emperor faced the east, where the sun rises, rather than the south as Chinese emperors did. Because the Khitan gave ritual priority to the left, the north was given priority over the south. Though the Liao dynasty's founding emperor Baoji ordered the construction of Buddhist, Confucian, and Taoist temples, successive emperors embraced Buddhism. A noticeable increase in devotion to Buddhism can be traced to the reign of Emperor Shenzong. Within a century, local government offices report that the 360,000 monks and nuns in 1078, representing about 10% of the population. Even if exaggerated, it is clear that Buddhism was an integral part of Liao life.